for the government of Hawaii.
Do they not check that like you went through like a program or anything?
There's like a lot of people at like SpaceX and Tesla, especially the FAANG companies don't give a shit if you've been to college for programming. They just want to know what you can do and like see your portfolio. It doesn't matter how you know how to do it, you just know how to do it.
This high school graduate landed a software development job with the Hawaiian government with zero corporate experience. And in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how you can break into tech and you can steal my 90-day roadmap. That way you can land a tech job just as fast as my students did. I'm gonna be covering how to build skills to stand out in interviews, how to build projects that hiring managers are actually looking for, how to actually target your favorite companies instead of just spraying and praying, and how to nail interviews by confidently framing yourself as the solution. Literally everything you need. This exact blueprint is how you can land a tech job in 90 days without wasting any time so you can start getting offers ASAP. And if we haven't met before, I'm Jess, Senior Data Analyst turned Data and AI Content Creator. So let's dive in, shall we? For the first 30 days, you need to focus hard on building the skills that show up in interviews. Stop starting 100 courses that you know you're not gonna finish that won't even show up in your interviews. Because knowing a little bit of this and this and this and this and this doesn't go very far in interviews. It's better to know the right skills on a very deep level than to know a bunch of little things just a little bit. Most people waste time on skills that don't even matter. Sometimes I see people learning outdated skills like SPSS or R. Are they bad to know? No, you can transfer that knowledge to other skills and tools, but those are not things you're gonna see in interviews and not in most jobs. But they're really popular in academia. Trust me, I learned those in my master's program and I haven't touched them since. I also see people do the complete opposite and jump to these super cool, shiny, new, sexy, very advanced skills that jobs haven't even caught up with yet. People will start learning things that they're not ready for. So for example, if you're not a master in SQL, you probably have no business learning Python because SQL is the meat and the potatoes of data analytics. So don't go learn a more advanced programming language if you haven't mastered what most data companies actually use in data analyst roles. Similarly, it's really great to stay current with all the trends, but if you're spending all of your time learning about AI and agentic AI and LLMs, you might be missing the whole point of what most companies are actually using now. So don't get too caught up in the past in academia or think too far in the future. Think about what companies are hiring for right now. Because if you're good at learning and you have a learning mindset, you can learn any skill on the job. You can transfer old skills and old knowledge to new ones later on. So it's really about focusing the vast majority of your time on learning the 20% of skills that take you 80% of the way. And that's gonna be the non-sexy things. So like SQL, Excel, statistics, and data visualization. Take it from one of my students. She just transitioned into a 6-figure data role from a non-technical healthcare position. She didn't go crazy learning 100 different skills and taking 100 different courses and certifications. She took my SQL program and got really good at SQL. And then she used the course projects to help her build her portfolio, which is what got her the interview. And in those interviews, she actually found out that that healthcare company actually used a very proprietary coding language that was very similar to SQL. And most people don't know that coding language because it's very niche and proprietary. But because she had such strong skills in SQL, they knew that she could transfer those skills and learn that new coding language. And it was ultimately her deep knowledge of SQL that got her the job because they knew that she'd be a quick learner and could learn this new coding language. And her role was 6 figures with a $31,000 salary increase. Once you learn the skills, the next 30 days are gonna be focused on building projects that showcase the skills. And let me tell you, nothing makes hiring managers skip over you faster than generic, boring projects. So get off Kaggle, throw away your Titanic dataset, throw away your Iris dataset, and get rid of all the cookie cutter fluff. And build something creative that you're actually proud of. A project is actually gonna be way stronger if it aligns with the industry that you're targeting. So instead of using the Titanic dataset, do finance or healthcare or e-commerce, whatever industry you wanna work in. Because it makes it crystal clear to hiring managers that you have the skills and the business domain and the experience to work in their industry. You wanna easily connect the dots from them and show them that you have all the skills and industry knowledge to be on their team and solve their team's business problems with their tool tech stack. A great way to figure out what business problems and tools are relevant in your target industry is to actually reverse engineer job descriptions. So go on LinkedIn or your favorite job site, look at a bunch of job descriptions and see what types of things they're asking for. Can you find any patterns? What tools and skills and coding languages are these jobs hiring for? And more importantly, what business problems are they trying to tackle? And you might be wondering, Jess, how do I know when I'm ready to start building projects instead of just learning? Guess what? You're never gonna feel ready. You're gonna have imposter syndrome and never feel ready to take that next step and start building projects. Heck, I still feel imposter syndrome. So my advice is to just suck it up and do it. Get out of your comfort zone, build some projects. That's the only way to get better and actually grow. And you can start with baby steps. If you're a complete beginner, start out with very basic business problems. Which customer had the max revenue for this year? How can I pull all of the data for this product? Which customer had the most orders in 2024? Then when you grow some more confidence and get some more experience, then you can do some more intricate data cleaning and data transformation. And you can do projects like exploratory data analyses, full stack projects involving multiple tools across the entire data lifecycle, date and string manipulation, recoding variables, using arithmetic operators to create new variables. And then when you get more confident with doing that, you can actually build entire portfolio projects that are actually going to stand out. And that depends on your industry, but it could be anything like a full funnel analysis or more in-depth metric creation and calculations. So if you don't feel confident, that's okay. I don't either. Just keep taking baby steps one after another and be delusional, and eventually you'll get better and end up where you want to go. Delulu is the Salulu. Will I cringe 5 years from now that I just said Delulu is the Salulu in a YouTube video? So here's your homework today. I want you to find 3 job postings. I want you to do some research, and I want you to find recurring problems and skills between all the job postings. And speaking of roadmaps, I created a free 3-step data analytics roadmap that takes you from complete newbie to job ready. It's the same one my students use to get 31K raises. It's free. Grab the link in the description below. All right, here's the next 15 days of your roadmap. You're gonna be strategically targeting companies instead of just spraying and praying. If you haven't heard of spraying and praying, it's where you just literally apply for every single job and hope for the best. And in this job market, it's not gonna work, honey. Because recruiters are using AI to screen candidates, and candidates are using AI to write their resumes and applications. So AI is just like judging AI, and the market is just flooded right now. It's honestly a complete mess. So have a strategy and actually stand out. Quality over quantity. Instead of applying to every single job you can find, you wanna find like 5 to 10 companies per day that strongly align with your experience and niche. For example, most of my work experience is in software as a service tech companies. So I don't wanna just blindly apply for things like marketing and healthcare and things that don't really align with my experience. I wanna get hyper specific and research a bunch of software as a service tech companies because that's gonna align best with my prior experience. And I'm already gonna be familiar with those business problems. So evaluating retention and churn risk, doing analytics on subscriptions, funnel analyses, and other software as a service techie data things. Because trust me, I have no business working in healthcare. And you're gonna do the exact same because you have your own individual experience that is gonna align with certain companies' current pain points. And that's when you're gonna be like, hey, I see you're struggling with this. Look at all this experience I have. I can help you. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So what I want you to do is I want you to find 5 to 10 companies today that really align with your niche and your past experience. Obviously ones that are hiring for the position you want. And then you're gonna find the hiring manager. If it's not on the job posting, you're gonna have to do some stalker stuff on LinkedIn. Go to the company page and look under people and type in the manager for that position. So look for like data analytics manager or data lead or director of technology or director of engineering. And then you're also gonna try to find who the recruiter is. A lot of times it's a technical recruiter at the company for a tech position. You're gonna try to find the hiring manager and the recruiter for that position. And if you can't, find 5 to 10 people who you think could be somewhat related to that position. Sometimes it's a little tricky to figure out, but best case scenario is even if you reach out to the wrong person, they might say, I'm not hiring for that position, but my buddy is, let me pass you over. Boom, now you have a connection to a human. And here's the message that you're gonna send on LinkedIn. You're gonna go ahead and apply for the position before. That way when you message them, you can say, I already applied for XYZ position. I'm prepared, I'm on top of my shit, and you don't have to hold my hand and walk me through it. Then you're gonna give a quick pitch of your top skills, your past industry as it aligns with that company, and then you're gonna end with a CTA, a call to action. I would love to learn more about the role. And my special secret sauce is that I like to end with, and if you're not hiring for this position, can you pass me along to the right person? Because a lot of times people don't know what to do. So if you help them help you and make it super clear, it's a lot easier on them. And let's be honest, everybody in corporate wants their job to be easier. So don't make extra work for people and make their lives harder. By the way, this exact method of strategically target companies, stalk people on LinkedIn, and send messages is how I get 99% of my interviews. Especially when jobs nowadays have like 800 people applying to each job, you have to get human contact. And sometimes it means stalking people. Just on LinkedIn though. And the last 15 days of the 90-day roadmap is nailing interviews, not nailing yourself. What am I saying? And the last 15 days of the 90-day roadmap is to nail your interviews by framing yourself as the company's solution. Big brain, mucho smarts. Interviewing is a skill in itself. Interviews can be very hard. Even if you have the perfect skill set, you can still be passed over in interviews. You have to learn how to not only walk the walk, but to talk the talk. The vibes have to be aligned. You have to be on the same wavelength. You have to schmooze your way in because you can have the best resume in the world, but if you're not framing yourself as a valuable asset to the company, they might just pick someone else who's a little more confident. So fake it until you make it, even if you don't feel confident. I mean, that's honestly how I got all of my jobs. And that's what I'm doing now as a full-time data and AI content creator. Don't tell anyone I said that. To really nail your interviews, you need to be ready for 2 main types of interviews. You have technical and behavioral. For technical interviews, obviously you have to know the skills, but you also have to communicate very well. Because they're not only assessing your technical skills, they're seeing how you ask questions, how you clarify, how you communicate. They want to see if you would be a good team member to work with. If you're super cocky and you act like you know everything and you don't collaborate, pass. If you're super shaky and not confident and you're not asking any questions or clarifying anything and you're just kind of shutting down and being by yourself, probably a pass. So you have to show that you not only have the technical skills, but that you also know how to work and collaborate as a team. For the behavioral questions, honestly, these are kind of harder in my opinion. You always want to use the STAR format, so definitely practice this ahead of time with past work scenarios that you can talk about to map to any behavioral question that you get. Here, you want to show a lot of confidence and leadership, but also humility and self-reflection. If you start blaming other people and talking bad about your past workplace instead of showing humility and here's what I could have done better, pass. I'm cringing because one time in an interview a long time ago, the interviewer asked me what happened with XYZ project that I just walked them through. Like, what did the company do about my discovery? And I was like, actually nothing, because leadership doesn't care about data, even though they say they do. That was not a good answer for my interview. That was not good. I did not get the job. And honestly, in those situations, it's honestly better to tell a little white lie just to make sure you're not talking bad about your current company, because I think my snarky answer just reeked of bitterness and nobody wants to hire that. My last tip to get really good at nailing your interviews is to actually record yourself. Get on a Zoom call and record yourself and go back and watch it later. You're gonna pick up on so many little things, like your body language, like if you're looking down, looking away, if you're slouched, you're gonna pick up on so much by watching yourself answering interview questions. And of course, just practice a lot. Make a giant Notion document that answers any interview question that you can think of. That way you feel prepared going in. Here's the reality. You can spend 90 days applying everywhere with no strategy and opening your email every day and having no emails. Or you can spend 90 days following a roadmap that's already worked for so many people and have your emails flooded with interview offers. If you're ready to start building the SQL skills and projects that make this roadmap work, check out my next video on how I learned SQL fast in 2026. Because fast is always better and we don't have time to waste. Sending you lots of big data energy. Bye.